So, Nature Boy and Carbonation. Y'all, Nature Boy and Carbonation. Welcome back to another hot take. This is where I get candid and just talk about various things from a spiritual perspective, okay? I felt like this was a perfect segue into something that I mentioned in my last hot take, but I think is a super important lesson that I learned or was awakened to on my journey, right? So if you didn't watch the last hot take, I basically said that on my channel, I'm never coming at you from a place of authority. I do not believe in spiritual authority. I personally do not believe that there is a single person on this planet that you can hand your spirituality over to and not be led astray. And it's mainly because I believe that spirituality is meant to be a one-on-one relationship between you and God, right? And however you identify the higher power, God, spirit, the divine, it is meant to be a one-on-one connection, right? But growth, including spiritual growth, is communal. We learn from and through one another. At the end of the day, none of us are God. None of us. And I'm not sure what exactly it is that makes people so susceptible to idol worship. The way I see it, it's like we're all classmates, and your classmates give a presentation. They give presentations on what they've learned, what they've been through, where they're coming from, and in that classroom, you listen to their presentation, you can take some notes, but you don't have to agree with them. You don't have to believe them, and they are certainly not your teacher. They are learning alongside you. And of course, you can always learn from your classmates. You can learn from what they do well, what they do wrong. You learn from working together on group assignments, but your classmates are not your teacher, okay? And so that's what I want to talk about when it comes to this Nature Boy situation. And even deeper than that, this spiritual realm on the internet, right? The spiritual niche that we, undoubtedly many of us participate in. Surprisingly, I had no idea about this guy until he was arrested. And even then, when this documentary dropped, I had to remind myself who he was. So some of us may not know who he was or may not know about that side of the spiritual internet, but we are here and we contribute to this niche. And so I think it's really important that we address these people or address the phenomena of people taking on the persona of an authority. And even deeper than that, the people who believe and follow them. It amazes me that we have instances like Jim Jones, and yet people are still undoubtedly allowing themselves to be misled. The spiritual world is mental. The spiritual world is mental. That is why we talk about intention. Because it starts in the mind. It begins with perception. And when you encounter a narcissist, the first thing they're going to want to do is get in your mind. When you encounter a bully, the first thing they're going to want to do is get in your mind. An abuser is going to try to get in your mind, because the mind is where it begins. If they can attack the way you think, if they can control what you perceive, then they have your soul. The body is a vehicle. The mind is like the engine. The soul is inside. And so the soul has to, you are the soul. You have to learn how to use your mind. It's not just meat in a box. It is a muscle. One thing that stood out to me from the documentary, and I watched the Hulu one, I didn't watch the YouTube one. I'm letting everybody fill me in on what was left out. But one thing that stood out to me was multiple people that were following him did not seem stupid. They did not seem dumb. These people seemed smart. But they did not know how to use their mind. They were not equipped, right? Velvet, for example, hearing her talk, the things that she said she noticed, the way she reacted to him, she didn't come off at all like a dumb girl. But unfortunately, she was lacking tools that if she had them, she would not have been in that situation. And I could tell because, and you can always tell by the articulation, she was struggling to articulate herself many times. But what she was trying to articulate was indicative of a woman who was very aware. But unfortunately, people shit on reading and writing. The more you read, the more you write, the better you can articulate what you are trying to say. And the more you can articulate what you are trying to say, the more you can understand what others are telling you. Another thing that stood out to me about Nature Boy was how blatant he was with everything he was saying. All of his intentions were laid out on the table. But see, when you lack an understanding of language, you can miss the ways these warlocks are testing you. One thing that Nature Boy did when this stood out to me. It was so ugly, but it's like so much of the things he did was overlooked because people aren't aware of what things can indicate. When you can really listen and pull out meaning, you can pinpoint another person's intentions. The girl, I forgot her name, the girl who eventually was the reason he got arrested. I remember they showed when she first spoke to him on the phone, their first phone conversation. And he greeted her. He said, "Hi," or "Hello," whatever your name is. "I love myself." "Hi, blank. I love myself." pause. Who greets people that way? Hi, I love myself. Okay. And see, this is what I'm saying. Narcissists, bullies, people who want to control you, people who want to hurt you, people who want to take advantage of or have leverage over, they want to get in your mind. And the first thing they're going to do is test the boundaries of your perception. Hi, blank, I love myself. That's a test. Do you peep the disrespect? Do you peep how he laid out his intention? Right there in front of you. I love myself. He was telling her, the moment the phone conversation started, he was communicating to her what his intentions will always be. Himself. Not how are you? Not I'm glad to talk to you. I can't wait for you to be here. Nothing inviting. Nothing to make her feel welcome. He said what he said to test how well she would overlook disrespect, and if she was perceptually his equal. Now, that does not mean he was smarter. A lot of narcissists will think that they're smarter because they're more devious when it comes to manipulation, right? But that doesn't mean he's smarter. He might think that. But really, he just needs to know, can she peep the game, the spell work, the conditioning? Somebody who is aware, mentally fortified, is going to look at him and say, I love myself too. Or they're going to be like, okay, is it a competition? Are you calling me to also tell you how much I love myself? Am I supposed to agree with you? Right? What type of greeting is that? It's a conditioning. From the jump, I need you to be okay with me always prioritizing myself, putting myself above you, deifying myself. Are you comfortable with me deifying myself to you? And it amazed me that throughout the entire documentary, everybody that was there was willing to overlook the way he constantly reinforced his superiority. That is a lack of mental fortification. None of those people were helpless. None of those people were stupid. But all of those people felt lost. All of those people felt unsure, insecure. None of them knew what to do with themselves. They did not believe that they could lead themselves to freedom. They didn't think that they were capable to lead themselves. They did not think that they were capable enough to lead themselves, free themselves. All of these people who were undoubtedly smarter than him, Multiple of them went to college. Not that college indicates smartness, but I thought it was a interesting dichotomy. He's surrounding himself by people who have more credentials than him, but less audacity. People who had less willingness to lead themselves, or less belief that they could. Uncertainty, doubt, distrust. People who didn't trust themselves. And I don't know what it is about, because like I said, we've had Jim Jones, we've had Charles Manson, we've had multiple cult leaders. There are cults now. I watch cult documentaries all the time. Right? Apparently there was some weird yoga meditation cult, right? And it's like, we can have all this available documentation of what this stuff looks like and how easy it is to be swept up in it, and yet people still get swept up. And this is why I say I don't believe in worship. I believe in practice. I believe in practice because in practice, when you are actually in the scenario, you need the discipline to not fall for the game. You can know all day long that there are people out there who want to take advantage of you. But if you're not putting it into practice, if you're not putting these principles into practice, if you're not embodying them in a practical, realistic way in your day-to-day life, when it comes down to it, you're not going to know what to do. And if all you've been conditioned to do was follow, i.e. worship, then that is what you will do. You will choose worship over practicality because that is what you've been conditioned to do. It's easy to fall for somebody's game when you've been conditioned to not trust yourself, to not trust your own ability to have a one-on-one connection with God, with nature. Did you really need to follow this man to Costa Rica to connect with nature? You couldn't go in your backyard, right? There's something about that drastic step that is indicative of a running away, a running to salvation, to somebody who this person is not your God. And it's I feel like this leads into another thing I say about making sure you follow your path and not another's. When you are on another's path, you are distracted, you are misled. Nature boy can only direct himself. He cannot direct another to their salvation. He can only be guided to his own salvation because that is the nature of it. He is on a path, and his path, when you choose to follow somebody like that, you're not on your path. And I would also say that it's in a lot of ways indicative of an inability to recognize your path, because we're always on it. We're always on our path. It's something about being unable to recognize your own 2 feet blazing a trail, right? And this is why I say guided. I feel like I'm guided on my path. I don't need to follow another person. I don't need to, have some guru tell me what to do. I can read a book. I can take some notes, right? Because to me, I see that guru as a classmate, right? Maybe they're an upperclassman, right? Maybe they've been in the game a little longer. Maybe they've had experiences I don't have. I certainly can learn from everybody around me. But my destiny, what I am meant to do, what I am called to do, that's between me and God. But see, like I said, it's about recognizing a path. Some people have a hard time recognizing. And that's what I say. Once you recognize that path, oh shoot, it is on and popping. It is on and popping. It's you and God after that. It's you and God always, but when it's kind of like when you're in elementary school, you're pretty much just learning the basics. How to survive, how to write your name, how to count to 10, how to walk in a single file line, how to get your lunch tray and open your own milk, right? But see, once you graduate, oh shoot, now you can write that paper. Now you can build that paper mache volcano. You can play that instrument, right? Now you can really develop, right? And so that's what it's about. Recognizing the path that you're walking, recognizing what you alone, recognizing what you are being called to do. Because once you unlock that, once you unlock purpose, you can't be distracted by a nature boy or a Stefan Diggs, or you can't be distracted. Once you've awakened to the calling, the key, once you have the key to your purpose, nobody can make you give them all of your credit cards. Nobody can make you or convince you to go to another country with nothing, to live in the front yard or the backyard. And so, I definitely don't want to ramble. I may have said all I needed to say, but mental fortification will save you. Understanding language, psychology, history, it will save you. Learning how to take care of yourself, being willing to learn new skills will save you. And that's all I got. So on that note, feel free to let me know your thoughts, what you think of the whole nature boy situation, or what you think about anything I'm saying. And I will be on the lookout for you guys in the comments.